Going to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on Monday, July 14th, 2025 at 6:02 p.m. We will have the invocation by Commissioner Yocum, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Klob. Please rise if you're able to.
Dear Lord, we beseech you to bless this commission, our city council, and the residents of our community. Look after our soldiers who protect us every day, who give us the opportunity to remain free to do what we Americans do. As this commission gathers, we ask you to guide us in the decisions we are about to make. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral. As we consider the merits and pitfalls of the matters before us, help us to act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Father, in your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners. That'll take us to roll call, please.
Commissioner Brems?
Here.
Commissioner Robertson?
Here.
Vice Chair Juarez?
Here.
Chair Singleton?
Here.
Commissioner Yocum?
Here.
Commissioner Klob?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas? We have a quorum.
Thank you. This will take us to the call to the public. If you wish to speak, please complete a speaker card and submit it to the chairman prior to the start of the meeting. The procedures to follow if you address the commission are: commission requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about any city employee, a fellow citizen, or anyone else, whether in the audience or not. The chairman will limit discussion whenever he deems such an action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. I do not have any speaker cards, but if there's anybody in the audience that would like to come up and speak, please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the call to the public. That'll take us to agenda item 4.1, minutes 25-43. Commissioners, any questions, comments, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Klob. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Brems. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. This will take us to agenda item 5.1, which is DRP 25-10, Planning Commission Update, Major Development Review Permit Case number DRP 25-10, Legacy at Porter, a request by Scott Puente of Upward Architects on behalf of property owner El Dorado Partners 27, LLC, for review of site, landscape, elevation, and photometric plans for a proposed multi-building commercial retail development on approximately 6.61 acres of land within Pinal County, parcel numbers 510-30-002M and 510-30-002K within the city of Maricopa, generally located at the northeast corner of West Applegate Road and North Porter Road. This is for discussion only. Take it away, Derek.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Commission. Derek Shearer with the Planning Division of the Development Services Department, here to present agenda item 5.1, Legacy at Porter. This is for DRP 25-10. This is an informational item. As read in, the applicant is Scott Puente of Upward Architects, who's submitted the application on behalf of property owners El Dorado Partners 27 LLC for the site that's shown on the screen up there, located at the northeast corner of West Applegate Road and North Porter Road. This is between the Copa Flats and the Home at Maricopa multifamily developments. The site is approximately 6.62 acres, covering two lots, lots 510-30-002M and 510-30-002K. This is for the review of the site, floor, landscape, elevation, and photometric plans. The project here is called the Legacy at Porter. This is a multi-building commercial development with over 45,000 square feet of various commercial retail. It is going to be developed in two phases. On the site plan that you see above, the shaded section, that'll be phase 2. Everything that is not shaded, that'll be phase 1. In the phase 1 development, we have a 25,000 square foot major tenant building. That tenant will be Goodwill. Then we have a 2,383 square foot drive-through restaurant building known as Pad A down in that lower left-hand corner. That is going to be a drive-through restaurant, but it isn't a drive-through that's typical with an order menu. It is an online ordering, and then you go to the drive-through to pick up. So there really isn't that much vehicle stacking waiting on people making their order. Then we'll have the Shops A, which is just below that major A. That's a 6,550 square foot building, multi-unit commercial with a drive-through. Phase 2, we don't know when that'll be developed, but when it does, they're proposing that a 4,869 square foot multi-tenant building, similar to the Shops A, with a drive-through, a 2,400 square foot drive-through restaurant building, standalone restaurant building, and a 4,200 square foot commercial building that you see Pad C all the way in the top right corner of that site plan. Overall, the site is going to be landscaped with just over 10% open space and landscaping, which is a requirement for commercial developments. It's 10%. They are just about 11%. What this provides is 20,561 square feet of open space in phase 1. Phase 2 will be determined when that comes in. It'll come in for its own individual DRP reviews per building, or it'll come in as an amendment to this DRP to get the fine details of how those buildings and the circulation there will operate. Overall, as proposed right now, 221 parking spaces are being proposed for both phases 1 and 2. Here we can see the architectural elevations and the renderings of some of the buildings. These are the buildings in phase 1. Right here, this is the multi-shops, that Shops B. Sorry, that was Shops A, my apology. Here we see the major A, this is the 25,000 square foot building that's over in that northwest corner of the site. That will be the Goodwill. The frontage of this faces southward towards the parking lot that you saw on the site plan that was on your right when looking at the site plan. Here is that standalone Pad A drive-through restaurant that doesn't have a order menu. I don't know. The applicant is here with the development team to answer any questions. I'll let them get into any possible tenants or anything that may have. Mine would be just speculation at this point. But this is that restaurant that will be the standalone with a drive-through without a menu board, outdoor seating. That top elevation that you see, that is the front of the building that is facing southward. The proposal is appropriate to the function in the site. It's integrated and existing with future development in the area. Staff finds that the elevations and color combinations appear well integrated and complementary to each other, creating a wholesome development that's unified in its design themes and its color palette. And this is the second submittal elevations and site plan that you are looking at. They're still under review for staff. We will be making more comments on these, and this will not be approved by staff until it meets all zoning ordinance codes. Notification letters for this meeting were sent to property owners on June 29th, and the site was posted on June 29th as well, advertising this informational meeting. Here we are at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I did not update this, I did not have time, but there was one letter of opposition. Sorry, wrong case. There is no letters of opposition on this. I'm confusing the next case, my apologies. Happy to answer any questions that the commission may have, and again, the applicant is design team and traffic engineer are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Awesome, thank you, Derek. Commission, any questions? Anybody? Commissioner Robertson.
Derek, can you go back to the slide that shows that one right there? So looks like the entrances will share the entrance to Copa Flats and
Home at Maricopa.
the other development on the other side?
Yes. So if we go, if I can bring you back to the vicinity map there, where that top yellow line is for the site, that is the driveway that's going into the Home at Maricopa. That is that north entrance drive that they're sharing. And then down on the bottom yellow line there, that is Google Maps calls it Applegate Road. It's actually a private drive. I'm not aware that it was ever given an official name, but I've had a lot of people say Applegate to me, so I'm saying that to the public so they may recognize what it is. But that is the main drive going into the flats there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Yoakum.
I just have a question on the parking. It's suggested that 221 spaces were provided as compared to the required of 166. And I know that the developer, I'm sure, has thoughts in mind as to what businesses are going to fall into the various sites, but that may not necessarily be the case. And I'm just concerned that we keep an eye on whatever businesses come in that they may necessitate more than the parking spaces that are being considered.
Chairman Singleton, Commissioner Yoakum, yes. The city's zoning requirement only permits over 10% of what the requirement is. However, in a traffic impact statement, a letter from a traffic engineer going into the details of what those uses will be and what those demands are. It depends also on what store it is. Not every retail store is the exact same with demand. Not every drive-through restaurant is the same with demand and for either parking or the drive-throughs and the queuing. What the applicant has built in here is a little bit of wiggle room. So say if every one of these developed as a restaurant, that would have a rather high parking demand, and that's why it's a little bit overparked, and that has to be justified by the traffic engineer prior to any sort of approval from the planning department.
Thank you.
Commissioner Klob.
Through the chair, thank you. I have a couple questions on here regarding kind of the overall, design idea. This development is roughly, this phase one is, I figured, roughly around 3 acres, thereabouts. And I'll back up. Then with the front 4 buildings, phase 1 and phase 2 of the front 4 buildings, we have 4 drive-through bays. I spent several years, as you know, on Chandler's P&Z, and any of us that have been involved in projects for a while, we all have those projects that, oh my God, I can't believe we did that. Chandler has 2 of them that I was involved in that I vowed to myself that I would never approve another one. One of them was on Gilbert and Queen Creek. It's a 9-acre site and it has 5 drive-throughs. Not all of them have developed, but it's already turned into a mess. There's police that are having to control. There's a legacy school next door. There are some compounding issues that are there. However, it's been a mess from the city. The developer gave a lot of promises of what would be and what wouldn't be there, and a Dutch Bros would never come in there, and Dutch Bros is there right now. Things like that. So things evolve, things happen. We can't always control the tenants that are coming into these units. I also look at, also in Chandler, on Gilbert Road and the 202, the southwest corner, there's a Chick-fil-A and an In-N-Out that are right next to each other. That's a traffic nightmare for anybody that's utilizing those restaurants, for people coming and going, especially during lunch or the evening hours, coming and going into that center. It's a nightmare. We have our own issues here of similar condition of McDonald's and Slim Chickens across the street from here. Where, especially when Slim Chickens first opened, traffic was backed up, on both sides. You go in the morning, McDonald's has traffic backed out onto the main spline road. So that's my concern here. Here we have, in this phase 1, we have 2 drive-through aisles that in theory could back right out into this primary spline road that serves as the primary access point for this entire development. And I realize on one of them it's supposed to be, call ahead, pick up only, but that changes. That business doesn't sign the lease, our new business comes in, there's a drive-through bay, any fast food restaurant that wanted to come in and sign a lease would take it. So just because we approve it with that in mind today doesn't mean that's what it's going to be a year from now or 5 years from now. And I think those are the things that we need to take into consideration. There was no traffic study to review, so there was nothing to really see what traffic is coming and going and traffic counts. Overall, I like the site. I like the development. I live near here. It's a place I'll use. I was disappointed to see the brewery is going to be in phase 2, but you know, that's a whole different discussion. Overall, I think it's a great site. But Derek, can you talk a little bit more about kind of that parking and those drive-throughs and that main spline road?
Yes, Commissioner Singleton, Commissioner Klob. When this was first presented to staff had the exact same concerns, and thank you for raising those concerns here. We have been working with the applicant to address these. With our zoning code, right now, it is pretty limited that the requirement is only 3 spaces for stacking, but we do have a provision that says we need a queuing analysis. There has been a traffic study. It's not part of the commissioner's packet with the TIA. It's, you know, usually a 200, 300-page document that's filled with a lot of numbers and information and stuff. In the future, if you would like that as a part, we can definitely provide that. But we withhold that from the commission because it is quite meaty to read. But the city engineer and our traffic engineer have been going over it, and part of the TIA requirement is a queuing analysis for these different businesses possible that could go in there. Because staff does have that concern for backing up traffic, blocking the parking lot, blocking parked cars. We want this development to succeed. Number one, we don't want to create a problem, a bottleneck, and then have businesses fail there because they don't have the access that they need, and also to encumber our residents who are trying to go somewhere. Like you said, maybe they're going to a shop in Shop A, but they can't get there because there's backing up. Absolutely. We are highly cognizant of that and diligently working towards that because we do not want that situation to occur. We're putting it onto the applicant and their traffic engineers to provide us with those queuing analyses that are acceptable by the city engineer and the traffic engineer of the city.
I have some other questions, but I'll leave those for the applicant when they come up and do their presentation.
Okay, and
Thank you.
Yep, the applicant's team is here if you have any questions for them.
Well, if the applicant wants to come up and do a presentation and talk about it, or?
Yeah.
My name is Scott Puente. I'm with Upward Architects. I'm the applicant on behalf of the owner.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were going to do any kind of presentation.
No, Derek did an excellent job.
Okay.
Kind of explaining the process.
Can we flip the slides to the elevations? Actually, go back to the first one real quick. I'd like to take kind of a mental picture of this one.
So that is Shops A.
Shops A.
It's multi-tenant building, and it's been prepared for potential drive-through application. Usually that drive-through is, back in the day, would have been maybe a Starbucks, but now Starbucks are mainly standalone buildings. So we don't really have a user for that, particular drive-through application, but it's prepared. We've designed and prepared for a drive-through operation if it becomes needed.
Okay. So my thoughts on this one, overall, I mean, I like the architecture, I like the design, I like the overall feel of it. I kind of like even the drive-through canopy kind of kicked off at a slight angle. I think that offsets really well, and even the cantilever canopy covers over the entrances. If we can flip down a couple slides to, I believe it's Pad A.
Okay.
This one here.
So Pad
Completely
A,
different
yeah.
architecture elements, roof elements.
It is different architecture. So this is a single tenant building. It has a specific use. The This particular pad was designed by the potential tenant architect, and they designed the building to satisfy how their operation would work. It's intended to be a Chipotle where they have a drive-through operation. Their new Chipotles have a drive-through operation where it's a mobile order pickup. So the ordering process is at the far end of the corner of the building, and then at one corner of the building is the entry point, and they've got a patio. They've established a patio and a projecting canopy to facilitate, eat-in patrons and that kind of operation. So they drove much of the architecture. They used our color palette, but most of the architecture in terms of how they screened the mechanical equipment on the building. They wanted to maintain a low profile. As you can tell, the perimeter of the building has kind of a low profile, so it's not really a tall building, so to speak, relative to like the major A. But they do have an equipment screen that they have provided and use the same materials that we have in the overall palette. And then they added, to kind of break up the linear architecture, they went with a kind of a sloped parapet look on the frontage of their building. So, and then they added a different, in lieu of stucco on the backside, they went with brick application on the majority of the drive-up operation. So.
And I think that's where my concern comes in a little bit, is, we have, Pad A and the shops A are very complementary to each other. The architecture, it's very similar, whereas this is a stark contrast. And then, we have 3 new buildings that are coming up, in a phase 2 of this project. Are those all going to be kind of their own architecture as well? Or are we losing the continuity that we have here outside of the materials? And I think this building, I think, stands alone architecturally just fine, but when combined with 2 other buildings that are quite honestly drastically different, is that really the most desirable result for such a small
Well, I
site?
think when it comes down to a single tenant building, they are looking for a little bit of maybe individuality in terms of their building. So shops building is more, let's see, go back. For instance, the shop building that is right next door, it's more established for a multi-tenant individuality. So they have the signage component over each tenant space with its own individual canopy unit. And then you have, to kind of break that up, then you have the middle of the entry point where you have maybe 2 tenants side by side. So, the shops component is kind of, it wants to be, create 5 individual tenants. And that's how we go about that. But on the Chipotle, it's really, they've got their back of house where their kitchen area, which is kind of part of that point where they have like on the front entry area, they'll have like a solid wall that'll make up where the toilet rooms are, maybe the refrigerator components. So it's really a different application. So the architecture needs to adjust a little bit to facilitate the overall operation of that building and how, the overall intent of the building. Where those other shops buildings, they don't really have like freezers and things that they need to consider. And their back of house or stock component on a multi-tenant building like that is generally in the back. And the retail component or the the sales component would be up in the front. And that's kind of what they're trying to achieve here. They've got, on the drive-through side, they've got the solid wall, so they don't have windows, really a whole lot of windows there. And you can't have too many canopy projections because you've got trucks, you know, that are going to be going through there. That there's not a whole lot of articulation as far as projection that can go on that one drive-through side. So,
And that I fully understand. Going through this package, it's one of those things that just jumped out at me that there's such a very drastic difference between the structures and raised a concern. The other concern I have on this particular one is that entire, I think it's the north elevation. It feels very heavy to me. Very, the stone or the brick material that's being used. It's kind of like, we're going to do the whole thing, but we need to break it up, so we put two little, racing stripes in it. I'm oversimplifying and I'm making jest, but, I don't know that necessarily meets the intent of our, of our traditional design codes.
we could take a look at that. One thing that caught my eye on that particular elevation was the lack of vertical articulation at the parapet line. It's got one straight parapet line, and it's not really jogging or going up and down. They have an equipment screen, so we can probably play with that elevation a little bit and create more interest along that side of the wall, so it doesn't look like one big, heavy wall, like you're saying.
I'd like to see it have its own identity, and I'm good with that. But I'd like to see maybe a little bit more complements to some of the existing buildings. And as these buildings evolve into the phase two, my thoughts are, have each one have its own identity. That's great. I have no problems there. But just complement each other and not be quite so drastic different.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Yeah, I picked up all my notes. So, thank you for your comments on it.
Commissioner Robertson.
Thank you, Chairman. I didn't ponder the drive-through backing up into the main spine road as a possibility until it was brought up. So my only comment is there's good examples out there. It seems like Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out have that mastered, with double lanes, staging and all that, and queue areas. Just keep that in mind as you go forward. There's options out there rather than just a single lane that might cause a backup and might consider a double staging type lane going in.
And most of your major drive-through users already have a prototype or a specific drive-through system set up that they know, hey, we need the double lane or they need the additional pull-out lane. They usually have that as part of their prototype because of problems that they've had, right? Because if they've got traffic backing up in the parking lot, then usually it's hindering their sales, right? So they've usually come up with a solution for that. And each pad would, depending on what user comes on board, we would be taking into consideration that particular prototype operation and how to make that work with the site.
Very good, thank you.
Vice Chair Juarez.
Okay, my question is for Derek, and it has to do with the comments we've heard so far regarding the architecture of the buildings and the individuality of certain buildings versus the others, and whether those individual architectural buildings complement the others. Now, being because some of these buildings are a little bit different, do they still comply with the code that we have?
The Chairman Singleton, Commissioner Juarez, they will before being approved. Right now, it's still in the review process, and we're still making comments on the submittals that we've seen. Staff is working on the non-residential design guidelines, commercial design guidelines, and what we're implementing and asking for is what will come in line with what will be in that document, possibly by the end of the year. That may be in front of you. I defer to planning manager, Rick Williams, to give you a more brief on where that stands. But what we do like to see is that there are unifying elements between these buildings, whether it's conscious or subconscious, that will draw your eye and you'll know that this is a cohesive development. This wasn't individual spotted development. This is coming in as a multi-phase, multi-building commercial development, and the staff will be pushing to provide that some sort of cohesiveness, whether it's through small architectural elements, unifying color themes, or even not themes, but elements to it. That's what we're here for, and that's what we do to defend the ordinance.
Okay, thank you, because then that gives Commissioner Kloeb's comments some validation there, where there's still time to make these adjustments as we move along and before this project actually finalizes.
Correct.
Thanks, Derek.
I think Commissioner Kloeb had one more comment.
Yeah, thank you. If we can go back to the major A elevations. Yes. The east elevation there, I think we're going to need, just because I've also dealt with the city and their design guidelines personally, there's going to be some articulation, some accoutrement, I think, on this side. There really isn't much.
So, on the east elevation, we did add, for instance, the projection at the left side of the east elevation. We added that material projection along with some window fenestration treatment and a small canopy that would be up there at the front of the building. And that span from that projection headed north. Go back to the site plan. There's actually, that elevation is actually part of the receiving operation for that building. So we did not do much in terms of additional architecture from grade to parapet, but we could potentially create something, some kind of interest in terms where the screening is occurring at the truck area and compactor area. So beyond what we have now. Right now we're screening with CMU wall or stone wall up to 8 foot. So that's kind of what is happening at that elevation, and that's why I guess on your side it may look a little stark compared to the other west side elevation, which that's a street frontage elevation, and there's no issue with trucks or anything running along the side of the building there. So.
And I get that and I understand it. I think, well, two parts to this. This is why I personally dislike 2D static flat elevation renderings. We're all doing stuff in 3D anymore. You'll never see this view, and so you really don't get a good feel for exactly what this building's going to look like, whereas a 3D would, really would, I think in a lot of ways, show what's complementary, to the offsets and the shadows and so on. But I also think that having, just because it's not a street frontage, I mean, our goal is four-sided architecture here. Other jurisdictions that I'm sure you deal with, every 20, 25 feet, you're going to have some type of change in material, change in, profile, articulation, change in roof, something along those lines. We just don't necessarily have that happening here, and I think it can be done pretty easily. And the fact that it's not a street frontage, but it is adjacent to people's homes.
Yeah.
There's an apartment community that's right next door to here that I think, we don't want to give them a big ugly warehouse that they got to look at every day.
Okay. I think that we could probably provide some additional materials on that side to maybe break up the stucco planes that are along there, similar to what we have on the west side.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
This is for discussion only, so commissioners, any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, we will move on to the next agenda item. All right, seeing none, we will move to agenda item 5.2, which is DRP 25-09, Planning Commission update, major development review permit case, DRP 25-09, Terrible's C-Store Bolin, a request by the Tim Raznek of Architecture and Interiors PC on behalf of Terrible's Gas Station for review of site, landscape, elevation, and photometric plans for a proposed gas station with convenience store and accessory car wash on approximately 3.55 acres of land within Pinal County parcel number 510-30-002D within the city of Maricopa, generally located at the southeast corner of West Bullen Road and North Porter Road. This is for discussion only. Derek, take it away.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. Presenting agenda item 5.2, Terrible Seas on Boland. Previously, the commission heard a zone change request about this site. There were a number of questions about the design of the site layout, how it was going to operate. Our apologies that we did not have this DRP in front of you before that zone change came in, so you could get a perspective of what is being proposed on the ground here. Again, this is an application by Tim Raznek, Archicon Architecture and Interiors PC on behalf of Terrible's Gas Stations, and the location southeast corner, West Bullen Road, North Porter Road. This is a 3.55 acre site, and this is for the review of the site floor, landscape, elevation, and photometric plans for a proposed gas station with convenience store and accessory car wash. Right now, we are on the second review of this proposal. The first review, the applicant had heard the comments from the commission at the previous meeting with the zone change, and they have changed their layout, and I'll get into that in a few moments. Right here before us, we have the site plan. This is a second submittal site plan. Access is going to be from two driveways, one on the north side of West Bullen Road and the other on North Porter Road that you see in the top right and the bottom left of that site plan right there. Those entrances will have deceleration lanes that are currently being worked out with the city engineer, traffic engineer, and the applicant. So coming from the light at West Bullen, there'll be a deceleration right turn lane into that north part of the site. And then coming from the south northward on North Porter Road, there'll be a deceleration lane pulling into that entrance as well. The development now stands as a 14-pump fuel station with canopy with approximately 6,222 square feet of convenience store, parking spaces for 44 vehicles. 4 of those are for EV charging. There will be internal and external pedestrian connections to the surrounding streets, as well as to the EVR Porter multifamily development that surrounds it on the south and east. The development is going to occur in a single phase. And my apologies, at the top, on the left, we have the first submittal, and on the right, we have the second submittal, but it looks like it didn't like the font. We haven't had this issue in a while. A little difficult to see. It's a lot of black and white here, but let me walk through this with you. And it's not showing. My apologies. I had a bunch of colorized pop-ups to highlight the changes from the first one. So let me walk you through this. Going from West Bullen Road southward on the first submittal that you see on the first site plan. That was the first submittal. You can see the gas canopies up closer to the street frontage, then the drive lane, parking, the C-store. At the right side of the C-store, what you'll see is a 600-foot car wash. Staff is aware that in social media and local media, there were some errors that were passed around that it was a 600-foot long car wash. This isn't. It's 600 square feet. It's a one-car tunnel. It's not a standalone individual car wash that you would see like on Maricopa Casa Grande Highway or over by the Sprouts. This is accessory to the gas station use. It's a rather small one. Before, as you can see, as I'm moving south still, so you had the C-store, you had the car wash over on that east side. Stacking for that car wash occurred on the south side of the building there. You can see the cars, and they would pull in and pull northward, and the exit was facing north. As we moved down, we had a second set of canopies for the south side. The gas pumps were oriented in a parallel parking rather than, which is a little untypical for here in Maricopa. It has been done a lot of times before. It kind of helps with larger vehicles being able to pull in. Then moving southward, you had the landscape buffer. You have a landscape area over on the east side, rather large, that's planted with vegetation. On that east side as well, you can see, it's difficult to see, but across from the dumpster, that's where we have 3 vacuum stations there. On the second submittal, after hearing the neighbors' concerns and the commission's concerns, the applicant redesigned the site. They took away that southern canopy. They added a few more pumps to that northern one that you can see highlighted there. They reoriented that accessory car wash. As you can see now, it is on the southern side of the building. It is accessed from the east side, coming down from the north, on the east side, heading west. So the exit for that is now facing west towards the Banner Medical Facility. Just south of that, it's hard to see on this, but there is a sound attenuation wall. If you can see at the bottom of the car wash, 2 little angled lines coming off of it, that is a CMU block wall to attenuate and deflect, baffle the sound from the car wash away from the residences to the south. Also, with that exit and with the dryers heading westward, it's now not pointing towards any residential development, it's pointing towards more commercial development. The applicant also moved the vacuums from that east side to the west side, fronting against North Porter Road, again, bringing them as far away from the residences as possible. South of that car wash, that oval that you see, that is now a giant landscape island of open space. And when I move forward into the landscape plan, you can see that it has been well landscaped there, and then also on that southern boundary to create even more baffle for any noise, light, intrusion, or anything like that towards those residences to the south. This is also helping for residences to the north and to the northwest, where a lot of concern for the noise and light pollution was raised at the previous meeting. Here we can see the landscape plan. As you can see, they are almost doubling up on their tree requirements on that southern buffer to the residential, and then also that landscape island. Along West Boland and North Porter, they've put in a number of trees as well. Staff has talked with the applicant, and we're in agreement that that will be planted with more mature trees at planting, so they'll be larger at planting to help create that buffer and baffle for light, for the noise, and just the general activity that occurs at a gas station with a convenience store and an accessory car wash. Here we have elevations, architectural elevations. This is on the top, that is the front of the store facing northward towards the residences on Boland, or across the street, Boland. On the bottom there, that is the southern side, so where you see ice cold beer and soda, that is the little tunnel for the accessory car wash. On the top, we have the east and west elevations. On the right side is that east elevation, so that's where you would enter that accessory car wash, and on the left is that west elevation where you'd exit. And then we also have the elevations of the canopy that's located north of the building, between the building and Boland. The applicant has provided some relief to the typical canopies that we have. It is articulated. As you can see, it comes up and down and creates some movement rather than having that rather flat canopy roof. On the right-hand side, you see that side elevation of what it'll look like from the sides. Again, this is the DRP informational item, and staff finds that this proposal and the proposed uses are appropriate to the function of the site and integrated with the existing and future development in the area, the commercial development that we just discussed with the Legacy of Porter project, and then the other multifamily and commercial projects in the area and in the Stonegate area, just about half a mile to a mile away. The elevations and color combinations appear to us well integrated and complementary, and the proposal will meet all the requirements of the zoning ordinance prior to approval. This is the second submittal. Staff is still under review with it. Further comments will go out to the applicant, and those changes will need to be made, and it'll have to meet the code requirements of the zoning ordinance prior to any approvals by staff. For this meeting, notification letters were sent out on June 25th to property owners within 600 feet. June 25th, again, this site was posted advertising this informational meeting for the DRP, and here we are at the meeting. This is a slide that I did not update. My apologies. About an hour before this meeting, we got a letter of opposition. It's in a memo that was handed out to the commissioners and the city attorney before this meeting. That letter of opposition was from the property manager of the Oasis multifamily development that is south and west of the site, right behind Walmart. Not happy to answer any questions you may have. The applicant's development team is here as well. Answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. Commissioners, questions? Commissioner Brims.
I have a question that's probably more related to traffic egress out of there. Hopefully you can just walk me through it. Say you're going there, you get your gas, and your goal is to go south on Porter Road. How do you do that without doing a U-turn on Porter Road? And the only reason I'm concerned about that is the number of schools that we have there and the number of, pedestrian, children that are walking in that area, and just the risk that a lot of U-turns would do during those peak hours when, school's out or when students are in the area.
Chairman Singleton, Commissioner Brems, thank you for that question. Yes, with this development and its proximity at this corner, the traffic analysis says that there can't be full access. So it's right in, right out for both of these accesses. To be able to head south on Porter, you'd have to exit northward, get into the turn lane at the signal there, and then do a controlled U-turn at that protected signal, not across Porter Road, which, as we know, Porter Road, it is a major arterial. It has a lot of traffic to begin with. Right across from that entrance is the entrance to the Banner Medical Facility there. The ultimate goal on Porter Road is to put a median down that prevents that cross traffic because it would be setting up a dangerous situation. And this is something that the city traffic engineer and the city engineer have been looking at and working with the applicant on designing. That includes a right-in, dedicated right-in turn lane heading northward on Porter, and then also heading eastward on Boland from that light.
Thank you.
Commissioner Robertson.
Just a comment. I'd actually like to commend the applicant. It's been quite a process for them. They held neighborhood meetings. Not only did they listen, but they heard. And they came here, and they listened and they heard. And I think they've brought us a reasonable option to this project. I like the write-in and write-out only concept in general. This almost mirror the Circle K up the road. But the Circle K does have a decentralized third way to get out to Honeycutt, going down one lot down, and you can come out, and when you get out to that turn, you can go either way, right or left, but you can't go right coming out of the primary entrance. They do have that additional land there, and I wonder if that could be an option, to add a road that goes along that extra undeveloped parcel for a third exit that could be right or left, further away from the intersection and away from the main traffic. It's just a comment, but I do want to compliment the applicant for listening to the community and bringing us some viable options.
If I may address that, Chair Singleton, Commissioner Robertson, yes, this is very similar to that Circle K situation. The reason for that very eastward drive for Circle K was to be able to get them further enough away from that intersection to have a full access turn. And the city has learned many lessons from that development. As Commissioner Klob had mentioned before, projects that you went, what happened here and how can we do better? That's what we are trying here with these right-in and right-outs. The professional term, we call it a pork chop, the little island right there. The islands, the pork chops at that Circle K do not work. You see people turning left out of them all of the time when they shouldn't be, and they're creating a very dangerous situation, and they should not be turning that way. But people do what people do. So as a city, we have redesigned our design template for these pork chops. We've widened them quite a bit. So instead of a just small little triangle, now it's a very obtuse triangle, very wide, that guides you completely in that one direction and makes it very difficult for you to hook around, do that U-turn to try and head the other way where you shouldn't be. What you're seeing here does not show that, but they will, because that's a requirement that we're putting on them for the safety of everyone around there. We are going to try and work very hard that people cannot make that left-hand turn out of there and create a dangerous situation, yes.
And one thing is, there's a bus bump out right there at that section where you're wondering if they can go east and then up. That's a bump out for a bus.
Chairman, if I may?
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. The applicant has a presentation this evening that I think may share a little more information and clarity to the conversation moving forward. It might be beneficial to see that brief presentation and then continue the discussion.
Sure.
Do you need any of your notes?
No. Okay. So again, forward, back.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Stephen Anderson, and for your record, my address is 40 North Central in Phoenix. I'm a land use attorney with Gamage and Burnham. And I am joined this evening by Brian Vaccaro, who is a land use planner with our firm. And Brett Griffin is here from Terribles. He's a real estate development manager with the company. You all know Mitchell Mastron, who presented at the Planning Commission on the prior hearing that you all had about 4 weeks ago or so. We're also joined this evening by Colette Froelich from Greenlight, who is our traffic engineer. And I've already warned Colette that she may be called to the podium to address some questions for you as well this evening. And hopefully she's prepared to assist to the extent that she can do so. Again, as staff indicated, 3.55 acres at the southeast corner of Porter and Bolin. It does seem worthwhile to talk a little bit about the context of the site, particularly in light of some of the community comments that you've heard previously regarding this case. The rezoning of the case is consistent with the general plan designation on the property, which is already commercial today. And in addition, the site is zoned neighborhood commercial today, as you all discussed at length at your last hearing. I wasn't here, but I watched the video. And so I know that you all know that the gas station and convenience store are already permitted by right on the site. It's the car wash that triggers the separate rezoning case. So the car wash that's included in the development review plan that's before you this evening is dependent on a successful approval of the rezone. But the gas station and the convenience store, those can happen, quote unquote, tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but you know what I mean. So I have animation in my presentation too. I don't know if it's going to work. We're going to find out. And if it does, hopefully we can see some of the revisions that we made when we went back to the drawing board when you sent us there last month, when you gave us your input and when the folks who were here gave us their input as well. Mr. Mastron, the project architect, did direct a letter to the chairman of the commission on June 18, in which he detailed these changes for you all. And then on June 26, we also did another neighborhood mailing in which Mr. Mastron also notified our neighbors about these changes that we have made to the plan. So lots of changes to the plan. The biggest of them is the relocation of the car wash. Let's see if the cartoon works. Great. So as you can see on the original plan, and I'll go back so you can see the arrow pop up. On the original plan, which is on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the brown arrow pointing north. One of the primary concerns of the commission from the last hearing was that that meant that the drying part of the car wash process, which is the most audible part of the process, was facing north to the single-family homes that are to our north. We have residences to our east and south as well, but these are single-family ownership homes on the north side of Bolin from our project. So what we did, and again I'll go back so you can see the brown arrow now pop up on the right. You can see it there in the lower left-hand corner of the right-hand drawing. You can see we've completely reversed the flow. So now we've got the cars leaving to the left, to the west, and so now the noisiest part of the car wash now faces the commercial, the banner building across the arterial street. So of our 4 options, we've reversed our flow so that we are going in the best direction possible for this commercially entitled site. That's the big change that we made, but there are many more. So there you can see the cars reversing direction. So the next thing that we have done is we have put in the abatement walls, which Derek mentioned to you. They're now yellow inside the green box, highlighted on the new updated plan on the right-hand side of the graphic. And so you can see that yellow box. So those are 2 8-foot-tall abatement walls that stretch out at an angle away from the car wash tunnel itself. And so they provide noise bafflement to our neighbors to the south, where we have homes to our south. So we wanted to make sure that in relocating the car wash, we were also taking solid architectural steps to try and minimize the noise that is coming out of both ends of the car wash tunnel. Next, we had a comment from one of the commissioners about noise diffusion, and so we have committed to put noise diffusers into the dryers at the west end of the tunnel, and so you can see them highlighted on the brown arrow there. Not really much to show you in terms of an architectural drawing. Derek has already mentioned that we relocated the vacuum from the east side of the site, again facing residential, to the west side of the site, where it will be more adjacent to Banner across the arterial street, Porter Road. We've also committed to hours of operation restrictions. We are not primarily a car wash. The car wash is an accessory convenience for our customers, and we know from experience when the peak activity and use of the car wash is. It is not at night, so we don't need that. And so we've committed to hours of operation restrictions, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., so that the residences that are in the area will be able to enjoy peaceful evenings, get their sleep, no worry about any after-hours operations of the car wash. We've also made changes to the site that go beyond those changes to the car wash itself. Biggest change we've made here is the elimination of the south canopy, as Derek mentioned in his presentation. So that's the big red X on the left-hand side of the graphic. On the right-hand side, as Derek pointed out, we've replaced that with a landscaped island that is adjacent to the car wash. So in addition to the abatement walls, you also get the landscaping opportunity in the landscaped island. As Derek did note, we did add a few pumps on the north side to still make the project financially viable, but we have reduced our total pump count from 20 to 14, which is a, we think, significant reduction. We hope that you all will agree. We've also, by eliminating the south canopy, been able to move the entirety of the business operations south by 6 feet. So the canopy on the north side is moved south 6 feet. The convenience store also able to relocate 6 feet further south. So that's further away from the single-family homes on the north side of Bolin. We've also added trees on both sides of the store. You can see on the original plan, we had no landscaping on the west side of the store at all, and we had some landscaping on the east side. We've been able to add landscaping on the west side of the store that you can see on the island there. In addition, we've also upgraded, and this has already been mentioned by Derek, the crosswalks. So we do have the colored different type of material to call out the pedestrian location, and Derek's already reported to you about the Plan B pork chops, and we are happy to work with the city on the Plan B pork chop. And I should also note for your record that we are comfortable with the right-in, right-out recommendation. The traffic study here was actually submitted by Greenlight in the spring, and we got initial staff comments back that called for the decel lanes and for the right-in, right-out only movements, and we were comfortable with those. We also, as Derek mentioned and as the chair mentioned, did agree to try to avoid the bus bump out, at least for the moment, which is why you don't have that Circle K kind of condition. But we've always anticipated that this would be a right-in, right-out only facility, and we are comfortable with that from a business perspective. This is the landscape plan, and I did want to mention for you all that the landscape plan was submitted to the neighbors as part of the mailing package. It was something that they had opportunity to take a look at. If they took the time to do that, the package was pretty significant in terms of its length, but this was provided to the community. And with that, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, we would be happy to address any questions you have about the design approach here. As you know, you have two other items on your agenda this evening. I'm going to not address those directly until it would be appropriate for me to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Yocum?
I think you've made extraordinary efforts to do something about the sound abatement, but that discussion will come later.
Commissioner Klob?
Thank you to the chair. Stephen, thank you for your presentation. I share the same acknowledgement of the design updates and commend the applicant and the team for, in a lot of ways, really stepping up and taking one on the chin a little bit to make, I think, is a better product for the community. Still have some challenges that I'd like to discuss as it relates to a couple things. While we've been talking about these drive access points, one of the things that I think it's worth noting on both drive access points, off Porter Road, straight across to the west, is a full access drive for the Banner medical facility. As we've seen on the infamous Circle K, a little north of this project, people coming and going, they don't pay a lot of attention to the right in, right out. They make their U-turns in the middle of the road. And it's kind of compounded by having a full drive access straight across. I don't know that there's necessarily an answer here other than maybe moving it forward, but that causes its own, issues and challenges with traffic. I have reluctance there. I don't know. I don't have an answer on how to fix it, but there's some big challenges that are happening there, I see the lady from Green Light coming up. So, and kind of the same thing is happening with the drive aisle coming off of Boland. Straight across the street is also the full access point into the residential community to the north. And again, having that conflict, having the opportunity of someone trying to shoot straight across the street to come into here, they're running late for work and gotta get gas. I just see problems here. And that one I think we have a little bit of flexibility on. And before I ask you the specific questions on the drive, what is the future use of that extra space?
That's actually for you, Brett.
Because that's going to tie back into where I'm going with this.
Hello, I'm Brett Griffin. I'm a development manager with Terribles. We do not have any plans at this time to develop the leftover parcel to the east. So no end users in mind and no plans to develop. We're laser focused on our project at the moment.
Well, it's a pretty small area to develop. I
Right.
think it'd be difficult to sell it off. My concerns would be, does that get paved over and we add another gas canopy, there at some point in the future through a site plan amendment would be my concern. Okay. But in doing so, kind of with that in mind, I realize we have the bus lane that's there now, but if those two were swapped, it would kind of pull this drive aisle away from being such a direct access into the housing community, but still give the access for the bus nearby where it is today. Just a thought.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I'm going to ask Colette to address this, but first I'm going to be a pretend traffic engineer. So we're very cognizant of the concerns that you have addressed and share them. My understanding is that generally traffic engineers like to have driveways aligned for visibility purposes, that an offset actually creates a greater danger because you are not actually focused on what you see across the street, even if you're trying to illegally circumvent a pork chop, which is the concern that you've rightfully raised here. Am I correct? Don't forget to introduce yourself.
Hi, Colette Froelich with Greenlight Traffic. Yes, typically we do want driveways aligned, and the traffic engineer with Maricopa did request that those driveways be aligned. When you have offset driveways, usually the left turn, if you're like this, usually there's a conflict point in the center of the road in that way. So you do want driveways to be aligned for that purpose. And hopefully with that wider pork chop design that Derek was referring to, hopefully that will help mitigate some of the people trying to make a left in and out of this site at those two driveways.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I would like to add one additional thought because of the procedural oddity of what is on your agenda tonight. We do have an item on your agenda tonight that calls for a vote, or two items that call for votes, but this item does not. So your feedback, please keep it coming, because we're not obviously finishing anything tonight. So everything that you are giving us, we can still work on these particular concerns that you're raising with us this evening.
Oh, I have a list.
I think.
Thank you. And I see both sides to the drive aisle access, and it is a challenge. I know that there was even discussions at one point, not on this project, on another project that I was involved in, where we didn't want drive aisles within 600 feet of a primary intersection. So, I get the challenges here and the design, issues. Let's talk about the car wash here. The car wash is, for such a small piece, it's the one that I think gives me the most heartache for a couple of reasons. One, as a design professional that's designed numerous car washes, and also my son-in-law is a car wash developer. And so I have a lot of background information as it relates to these types of products. And the concerns I have are these short, single-car bay car wash facilities are typically a lower cost. The equipment is lower cost. It's smaller. It's substantially louder, and it typically doesn't get maintained as well as other full-service car wash facilities do. And as it doesn't get maintained, it becomes louder yet again. I appreciate what you've done with some of the landscaping and the flaring of the walls, but we still have this tunnel effect that's being created. We're going to have a tunnel effect that's going to happen backwards, because sound doesn't care where it goes. Once it starts bouncing off of hard surfaces, it goes where it goes. That in mind, I think the housing development, the apartments, and even though they're not for sale units, as you mentioned, these are people's homes that are to the east of here. And they should be dealt with the exact same level of respect as the people who have purchased their homes to the north. And in some cases, possibly even more so, because a lot of them don't feel they have the right to come and speak in a forum like this because they're not owners. And so sometimes we have to speak for them. I haven't noticed anything from the apartment community, EVR, in regards to any of this. I don't know if anybody's here to speak for them, but, and if they aren't, I'm disappointed in that aspect, because they should be. However, we still have to look out for their best interests. And so I think that we're going in the right direction. I just think there needs to be more. And for such a small part of this overall operation of this site, it has such a big impact, and it has such a big influence on the people around it that are trying to enjoy their peace and prosperity. I did provide, at the last meeting, we weren't able to get into the weeds on my comments, and I did provide it to Rick, and I think Rick also gave it to the applicant on some of my challenges with that noise and the noise abatement. And I appreciate you saying that you're going to put in the baffles, and I appreciate the walls. I just think that it's still going to have that noise that's just naturally going to occur. We've now created a funnel effect that we have a letter from the apartment community across the street to the west. And if we take a line diagonally from the flared exit wall that you've put in, that points directly at those apartments across the street. And it allows that sound to travel to those people that have balconies that are facing it. Again, I don't know that it's necessarily fair to them either. Yes, it's an arterial street, and there's some noise there, and there's some level of expectation of that, and I get it. But making the situation worse, I think, is doing them a disservice. Again, I don't necessarily have a lot of great answers for this. One concern or one thought I had, the walls don't appear to even match the height of the doors, so sound is able to escape over the top of the walls in that regard. Maybe the doors need to be, or the walls need to be at least as high as high as the door, or preferably even higher. And that'll help push that sound more up rather than to the south. I think that there needs to be, and I also appreciate the applicant saying that they're going to, that you're going to only operate the car wash from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Does that include the vacs?
Yes, that would include the vacs.
All right. I like that, and thank you for doing that, because those are another one of those things that, and there's really no way to soften that. So for someone at 10 o'clock at night when you're trying to put your kids down to bed and someone comes in and, vacuum. So thank you for that. The challenge I have here too is the city doesn't have a really good metric of, we do have a noise ordinance, but it's complaint based. It's not, there are not levels that are established, acceptable levels. It's very arbitrary, and that's where we run into, I think, potential challenges, where, and protections, quite honestly, as the owner of this business. If you are doing everything to comply and people are still complaining, you're within the confines of, if we establish a certain level of noise that is acceptable and you're within that, then you're within your right to operate and let them complain. Likewise, if you're outside of that, then their rights are being infringed as well. So it's fair for both sides, I think. And I'm going to come back to the city. Do we have? I couldn't find anything in our zoning manual that related to actual noise. Other jurisdictions have, decibel levels at the property line, decibel levels at the street for different product lines. I don't know if we have that. I couldn't find it if we did.
Chairman Singleton, Commissioner Klob, we do in the zoning ordinance under the performance standards that applies to all businesses, all uses in the city. We have levels of decibel ratings that you cannot exceed. I do not know when that was produced, but just like other things in the ordinance, I would safely assume that when that was drafted, it was drafted by a professional sound engineer, then codified. It wasn't arbitrarily made up numbers, that this was probably a best practices around the country and coming from a consultant when they redid the ordinance.
And I read the noise ordinance, and I apologize if I missed something. I did not see anywhere in that ordinance that mentioned actual decibel levels for different things. So,
So in it, you see that use restrictions, time restrictions, distance restrictions for all of different developments. And I have seen where we have for the decibel rating. So if you go down to table 18.110.050.g, you have land use receiving the noise, noise level descriptor, exterior noise levels, interior noise levels for daytime and nighttime at decibel levels. And these decibel levels will range from anywhere at the very maximum of 70 down to 35 at nighttime, 35 and 45 dB.
okay. And I apologize if I missed that. What I found, it was 9.20.010, number 1. It just said, loud or unusual manner as to be offensive to the senses or so as to disturb the slumber, peace, and quiet, or otherwise interfere with or annoy the comfortable enjoyment of life or property or any person. That is extremely vague. That's what I was able to find, so thank you for clarifying that. I would like to establish and up for the discussion of the commission, a daytime noise ordinance of 65 decibels, which is typically like what ADOT regulates for arterial streets at the property line, and this isn't going to be operating at night, so 45 decibels at night is also, in my research, that those were acceptable operational noise levels that I think could be attained without a lot of effort by the applicant. The last big one that I have in regards to this is, I noticed on the elevations, I don't know if we can pull those up.
Abel, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, while Derek's pulling those up, I should have noted for your, based on your discussion before, the south and east elevations are not illuminated. Those are merely signs, no illumination.
And that's where my next topic was going. I wanted to ensure, and I don't know if we need to add a stipulation that the south and the west signage is, signage I have a problem with, and I think it's probably needed, but the illumination, I don't want to, those people in their backyard looking up and seeing a neon red terrible sign all night.
Chairman Singleton, Commissioner Globe, that is a code requirement that you cannot have the illuminated signs facing the residentially zoned districts.
And that includes uplighting, everything?
That's the lighting,
Okay.
yep. So on that south and east side facing it, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be permitted to be illuminated signs. Ground-mounted signs, not ground-mounted signs, ground-mounted lights, and then the carriage lights that you see on the rear, any other sort of attached lighting, those are allowed, but the signs aren't allowed to be illuminated.
So there's also kind of a carriage light that's on the side of the building that is also on the south and the east side that are typically facing residential. We want that lighting screened. The cut sheet that they provided does not provide any kind of screening, but maybe by raising those walls up, because it's primarily around the car wash. So possibly by raising those walls up, that'll that'll create its own screening, so.
Commissioner Singleton, Chairman Singleton, Commissioner Klob. Yes, with those carriage lights, those luminaires lighting on the side, we do allow them, and we require that in the photometric plan. That is a requirement of the DRP submittals that those are attended to in that plan. A lot of times, the lighting engineers only put the pedestal lights or exterior lights. We require that they include what is attached to that building and what is coming off of that. And with that, we look at it to make sure that it is not bleeding past their property lines or creating anything. Of course, someone with the carriage light on their garage, 10 houses down from you, you still see that light when you're outside, but it isn't illuminating the ground in front of you. If you tried to read this piece of paper from that distance, you wouldn't be able to do that because it doesn't have enough candlefoot light at that location. And when we go back, staff is paying attention to this with those lights and the distances to the property, to the residential property to the east and to the south. If you look to the east, it's well over 100 feet away, and to the south, it's about 100 feet. And when we're looking at the photometrics, which I believe were in the packet to the commission, you can see where those light levels fall and where they fade, and then as it moves out towards those property lines on the ground, and that's what we can regulate per code.
Okay. And I do have when we're all done, I do have a housekeeping thing kind of regarding this project, but it's not relating to this directly. It's more of an indirect question that I'd like to bring back around towards the end tonight. So that's all I had for now. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Yocum.
Just going with the sound situation, our code does have some numbers in it. And I would think that you folks as building and using car washes, you must have some feel for the decibels that are being generated by the various equipment involved in the car wash process. I'm wondering, do we have a source of information? Maybe the manufacturer gives us some numbers on decibel production and how far it would carry. But how can do we have any kind of a standard, or do we have any way that we can kind of anticipate what it would be, and depending on how far it's going, 50 yards, 100 yards, 200 yards, how loud would it be when it gets to the apartments or the homes?
Chairman Singleton, Commissioner Yocum, I honestly do not know myself personally. We can request that from the applicants as part of the submittal. As, hey, we have concerns about this. Please show us the numbers on what that sound level is going to be, how far outside of that tunnel, and then at the edge of the property. I'm not sure it would be appropriate to measure beyond the property because it must stay like within that boundary, setting up 200, 300, 400 feet down, 1,000 yards away from the site, but there on that property, we can ask for that, and I think the applicant would be willing to provide that from their manufacturers. It's the same way with the photometrics, we require the manufacturer cut sheets to make sure what's being installed is what is on that plan, and then we back research those luminaires to make sure that that is with the wattages and everything and the candlefoot lights. We can do that.
Would it be asking too much for you folks to do some research, put some numbers together and present them to us as to how it might affect our neighbors?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Yeah, my only comments are I commend you guys for listening to everything that residents have said, the commission has said, and coming back with solutions. It shows that you guys want to be good neighbors to everybody that's around. You want to be here in Maricopa. I think we're pretty much there. I do like, not just a flat canopy for the pumps. I like how that, articulates and breaks things up. And I think with the added landscape, and I believe its mature landscape, whatever that definition ends up being, for the sound barrier between the car wash and the apartments to the south, will also help and add to it. If no other questions or comments, commissioners, I will move on to,
Through the chair real quick.
yes.
Would we like to have any other discussion about potential stipulations on establishing decibel levels at the property lines?
This is a discussion-only item, so there's no stipulations. I think you
Discussion
can give
only.
staff direction, but there's no stipulations on this item. It's discussion only on the DRP.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, we will move to 5.3, which is ZON 25-03, parentheses 2. Motion to reconsider. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall discuss and take action on a motion to reconsider ZON 25-03, a request by Tim Raznek of Archicon Architecture and Interiors PC on behalf of Terrible's Gas Stations to rezone approximately 3.55 acres of land from neighborhood commercial zoning district to the general commercial zoning district located at the southeast corner of West Bullen Road and North Porter Road. This is for discussion and action.
Just as a reminder, the only two that can make the motion are Robertson and Klob. Because of the way the vote was, a motion to reconsider can only be made by the person on the prevailing side of the original motion.
Who made the original motion, do you remember?
I don't know who made the original
Okay.
motion, but
Commissioner Robertson did.
yeah, so. Mr. Thomas also could have made the motion, but he's not here, so it would have to be one of you two.
We're going to have a discussion before the motion, though.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
we can. Anything you want to discuss, Commissioner Robertson?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Probably my earlier comment is more fitting for this item, that I do think some viable options have been delivered. I do think that the applicant has made a concerted effort to address the concerns of both the community and the commission. I don't have any further comments beyond that, and when we're ready to make a motion, I'm willing to make a motion.
Any other comments from the commission? No. Seeing none, do I have a motion to, what is that, motion to reconsider?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider zoning 25-03.
I have a motion to reconsider. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Yocum. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. That takes us to 5.4, ZON 25-03, parentheses 3. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall discuss and take action on a request for a zoning map amendment of approximately 3.55 acres, effectively rezoning the site from the neighborhood commercial to the general commercial zoning district. The site is located at the southeast corner of West Bullen Road and North Porter Road. This is for discussion and action. Derek, take it away.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. Excuse me. I have the presentation from the June 9th meeting on the zone change that we previously heard. I can go through that. This is an application by Tim Raznek of Archicon Architecture, as it was just read in. This is for property located at the southeast corner of West Bullen Road and North Porter Road on approximately 3.55 acres. This is a request to rezone the site from the existing neighborhood commercial NC to general commercial GC on a vacant lot for the development of a gasoline service station with convenience store and accessory car wash. As we can see on the zoning maps on the screen, the applicant is proposing from the NC neighborhood commercial to the GC. The site for the general plan is commercial C, so this rezone is consistent with the general plan. As I just said on the next slide. So with that general plan consideration, this staff finds that the proposed rezone would be consistent with the zoning ordinance because of that consistency with the general plan. The change to the district boundaries are desired by the applicant, and as this is a intersection of two major arterial roads, Staff finds that it is appropriate as well to go to a general commercial, hard commercial on that site. The staff believes that the amendment is going to promote growth of the city in an orderly manner, protect the health, public safety, peace, comfort, and general welfare. For that zone application, notification letters had been sent out to the applicants on May 2nd, and the site was posted on May 2nd. That newspaper notice was posted on May 6th. The neighborhood meeting was held on May 22nd. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting originally was on June 9th. This reconsideration is now July 14th. Staff had received 4 letters of opposition to the proposed rezone prior to the June 9th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Those were in the packet that were provided to the commission. The applicant provided detailed responses to the opposition, as we've seen in the previous DRP presentation. They really addressed a lot of the concerns of the neighborhood and also the commission. As I mentioned in the previous DRP, today we did get 1 letter of opposition to the DRP that was handed out to the commission as a memo. Staff still maintains its recommendation previously for that the commission move for approval of the rezone map amendment case zone 25-03, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, the applicant's team is here.
Thank you, Derek. I do have 1 speaker card for Ron Angarami.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to talk again about the terrible gas station. While I do appreciate some of the revisions that were made to the original proposal, I don't believe that the safety issues are addressed, as well as the request for additional landscaping along Bowen, Porter, and Allen Stevens. I have confirmed with the HOA that they are receptive to the idea of additional trees along these roadways. This would seem to be a very minor cost relative to the total cost of the gas station acquisition and installation. They say good fences make good neighbors, and this definitely seems to be one of those times. I keep hearing all the time from City Council and P&Z members that it's their property. They can do it as they want. We have no right to tell them what they can do. This decision is much, much more than just wanting a car wash. In 2021, this area was rezoned to be neighborhood commercial to facilitate the deployment of EVR housing. Prior to that, it was commercial. What did it look like back then? No schools, no apartments, no high-density housing, and certainly no traffic congestion that we see now. Back then, it was probably the right call to make it commercial. But that is not the situation we have today. There's been an explosion of residential in both single-family, high-density apartments, condos, and 3 schools. Workers commuting to Phoenix right now conflict with school start times, making it a dangerous situation for our kids. There's a further explosion of housing off Porter just on the other side of Casa Grande and along Sonoran Parkway. And you know those people are not going to go to work by traveling to the casino and then heading north on John Wayne. They'll all be coming up Porter. These are issues that we should be addressing regarding a rezoning. 20 years later, with the knowledge that we have today and plans for the near future, I find it extremely challenging to believe that the changing of the zoning from the limited commercial, neighborhood commercial, to the more expansive general commercial is the right decision. Let's not worry in the future about the adjoining lot to be sold to another business that is also incompatible with the neighborhood. We appreciate the responsibility you have to allow Maricopa to grow in a way that's beneficial to us all. It's my understanding that Terrible has not yet actually purchased a property. Let's help Terrible to select a better location that is both beneficial to them while protecting the safety and positive growth of Maricopa. Thank you.
Commissioners, questions, comments, concerns on this?
I just have one concern, and I don't know if I'm going in the right direction or not. I'll look to the management and council on an opinion, but I feel that we might want to consider a stipulation on the noise factor that it be monitored, measured to acceptable levels per the zoning code.
So your zoning code does allow an acoustic study. So if you want to ask for that, I think that is something you can do. and then it would be subject to the decibels in the zoning code. Is that what you're trying to do? Just make sure it meets the requirements of the zoning code?
What I'm trying to do is establish a stipulation containing the elements I just described.
That they comply with the code and the noise ordinances as contained in the code?
As it pertains to the noise.
Okay. No, I think that's permissible. I'm not
Okay,
sure if the applicant has a concern.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I just wanted to make the record clear from the applicant's perspective. We are supportive of the enforcement of the city's noise ordinance. We're supportive of an acoustic study. We've committed to do that. I just wanted to put that on the record for you. Obviously, you have to look to Ms. Vanucci for guidance on how to exactly word a stipulation. I will tell you two other things in that regard. One is, I don't think you have to get it exactly right this evening. We can work with the Fitzgibbons firm before the council consideration to make sure that the wording is kosher. And in addition, also wanted to again remind you all that the item we just heard, the preliminary design, was an informational item. So we have instruction from you all verbally to do proper acoustical studies, and we are certainly committed to do that. Hopefully, our good faith gestures that we have made on our site plan revisions will provide you with some assurance that whether we and Fitzgibbons get the stipulation wording correctly, we'll provide that acoustic study regardless.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the commission?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Klob.
To kind of follow up on that, if it's already established in the zoning code, are we codifying something that we don't necessarily need to codify?
So the acoustic study is a may at the discretion of the planning manager or director. And so by you doing it tonight, it's directing them that they are asking for an acoustic study, which the applicant has said that they would comply with. So I don't have a concern with that. The acoustic study results would just be to comply with the zoning code, so we're not trying to change that.
So I guess I don't know that, are we gaining anything? It's technically already in the code unless we wanted to establish certain minimum or maximum values that they cannot exceed, that
Yeah.
might be outside of that code.
You can't change the code in a stipulation, so those values are in the code. So all you can do is ask for an acoustic study that confirms that they comply with the code.
Yeah,
And that's why I suggested that we, whatever we do it within the confines of the existing zoning code.
Right, so my recommendation would be the stipulation is that an acoustic study will be provided to confirm compliance with the code.
Right.
Fine.
We
And
can work on exact language as suggested earlier, but that would be the gist of it.
Would we want that provided prior to council, though?
Well, the stipulation,
The
So-
acoustic study?
say that again, sorry. The acoustic study?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I
Go
can
ahead,
comment
yeah.
on that.
That's
Mr.
not
Chairman,
usual.
you've already got two conditions, and I wasn't remiss because I didn't get to talk. You have two conditions recommended from your staff already. We are, for your record, going to comply with those two conditions. They address traffic, decel lanes, things like that. To give an example, in the context of the question that was just asked, obviously we're not going to build the decel lanes before the council. That will be something that gets accomplished as the stipulation is enforced by our staff. I believe Ms. Vanucci's suggestion is to impose a stipulation on us that requires us to provide an acoustic study demonstrating compliance with your ordinance to the staff, that study could be provided, just like the decel lanes will be provided after the council action.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think they may provide, and I think adding that stipulation is just making sure that they actually do for their,
Yeah.
if they're down.
That's fine.
Awesome.
And it will have to be provided and confirmed before the site plan or any building permits are issued. So there will be plenty of time in between to make sure that it is done.
I was just trying to make sure that, if it had to be ready for council, these are things that they take time, and getting engineers to mobilize quickly, it might put the.
Right, now, we wouldn't require it for council as a stipulation to the zoning, but it would be something considered at site plan if they're complying with their zoning.
Okay, thank you.
Commission, any other questions, comments, concerns Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I would move that we approve ZON 25-303.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Vice Chair.
Chair Singleton, can I just confirm that's a motion to approve with the added stipulation?
Oh, yes, with the added stipulation, sorry.
Thank you. That's okay.
Okay. Still seconded by the Vice Chair. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. That takes us to agenda item 6, reports from commission and/or staff.
I do have a housekeeping thing I'd like to just address as it relates to this case, if I could, for a quick
Yeah, I
second.
think you just, Chairman Singleton, Commissioner, I think you just need to direct it to the chair and.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed on this particular case, driving by this lot, is they have 4 signs up on the property, two facing Porter, 2 facing Bolin. As someone who has purchased those signs before, they're about $1,000 a piece. I would like to see if we can maybe streamline that process to create less of an encumbrance on the applicants. You know, big picture is not a lot of money, but it's $4,000. That's just something, I don't normally see that many signs for a project, so that's why I bring it up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've also noticed that there was a lot of signs. I don't remember the exact need for those. Rick, do you have any comment on that, on why?
Yeah, Chairman, I'm not sure I'm crystal clear on the direction here.
My question is more, you know, could we do on a you know, what was this, a 3-acre site, whatever it is? Could we get by with just 1 sign that's on the corner? Do we need 4 signs for future applicants?
Got it.
Not so much this case,
No, I got
but
it.
going into the future.
So really you're requesting staff to look into the requirements of signage to determine if it needs to be
Those are the
amended?
words I was looking for.
Okay.
That I understand.
Thank you.
Words are hard.
Chairman, as you recall, we're going to come back and have a conversation in August regarding secondary access. Possibly I could bring this back in September and we'll talk about signage and take a look at what others are doing around the valley and see how we compare. Be happy to do that. Chairman, just to finish up the report from staff, we will meet in 2 weeks. I believe that's the 28th. We've got 2 or 3 items for that meeting already on the board, so I think we're going to be good on that. That concludes my update this evening, and just say thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. And I do not think we need to go into e-session this time. So that'll take us to item 8, adjournment. Do I have a motion? Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned.